I don't know what you have been told about literature reviews before now, but today I am here to set the record straight. You might have been told that it is just a summary. You may even be a little bit scared of it. But today, let me gently shock you. Literature review is more powerful than you think. And once you understand it, you can write a first-class literature review without stress. Now tell me, have you ever wondered why literature review is in every research project, usually chapter 2? There is a big reason for that, and you're about to understand it clearly. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Mojirayo, and I help students grow in academic writing, research, and confident presentation, no matter your field. If that sounds like what you're interested in, sit back, relax, and don't forget to subscribe to get more of this. Let me tell you the truth. I once submitted a literature review, and that day humbled me. I had read so many materials. I'd read books, articles in journals, everything I could think of. I had more than enough information, so I thought. And I also thought that I had written a very solid chapter. But when my supervisor saw it, he said, "This is just a summary. This is not a review." He pointed out that I was grouping by authors and not by themes. I was reporting, but I was not reviewing. And that was when I learned something very important. I learned that research is not just about collecting information. It is about what you do with that information. It is about making sense of it critically. And that is where many students find themselves today in Nigeria, across Africa, Europe, America, everywhere. Today, I'm going to walk you through the entire process step by step so that you can write a literature review that truly shines. So grab your notepad, your journal, and let's dive in. Number 1, before anything else, let me clear up the biggest misconception. A literature review is not a list of what authors said. It is not a summary. It is not a collection of quotations. It is not a copy and paste from Google. It is not author A said, author B said, author C said. That is not literature review. A literature review is a critical conversation with existing knowledge. Is that big grammar? I will explain. Think of it like this. There is a roundtable conversation among scholars in your field. You walked in, you sat down, that is, you joined them, you listened to the conversation, you understood what they are saying, you connected the ideas, and you decided to join the conversation. That is literature review. Now get the sequence. There was a conversation before you came in. That is, they were speaking before you entered, which means that in your field, on that same topic, some persons have said something about it. Some persons have written about it. There is no such a new field. Whether it is new or not, there is someone somewhere, sometime that has said something about it. So you can't just decide to just write in isolation. So the scholars were speaking before you arrived. So your job is to listen, to connect the ideas with yours, and join the conversation with confidence. What does that mean? It means that literature review is a discussion of what scholars have said, how their ideas connect, where the gaps are, that is what they didn't talk about, and how your own study enters that conversation. So what do? You group similar ideas, compare viewpoints, you examine the strengths, the weaknesses, you highlight the gaps that your study addresses. And let me tell you one thing that some students don't know. You have to do a literature review even before you pick a topic. I made a video on that. If it's not up yet, you will definitely see it. Now, what do I mean by you have to do a literature review even before your topic? People always think that literature review is just a particular chapter where you read people's literature, but you actually need to do a literature review. That is, you have to read literatures, books, journals, and the likes before you even choose a topic. Because when you want to even choose a topic, what do? You know that this is the idea that you have. Then you look at what others have done. You look at what others have done on that same idea that you have and what they did not do. That is literature review. I don't know if you understand that. If you have more questions on that, you can drop it in the comment section. It's going to be another video on how to choose a research topic. So if it is not out yet, you definitely see it, like I said. So then you highlight the gaps that your own study addresses that they did not talk about, or they did not fill, those gaps that they did not fill in their own research. What does that mean? It means that literature review provides the foundation, the direction, and the justification of your entire study. So in one sentence, your literature review tells the academic world, here is what is known. Here is what is missing, and here is why my study is needed. Step 2. Gather strong sources. The smart and the stress-free way. Now that you know what you're doing, let's find the materials to do it. Now, before writing, you need to get the quality materials. It does not have to be 200 papers. Focus on quality, not quantity. I mean, you have to be selective and strategic. Quality, recent, high-impact studies that relate to your topic. The right authors, the right theories, the right debates, the right findings that relate to your topic. Now, let me give you some reliable platforms that you can use. You can use JSTOR, Google Scholar, ResearchGate, Scopus, PubMed, EBSCOhost, DOAJ, and your university library. To organize your references and build your bibliography automatically, you can always use Mendeley or Zotero. Remember, a strong review shows that you understand the field, your theories, the debate, the gap. Step 3. Understand the kind of literature review you must write. Most universities across Africa, UK, and US expect three major components: the conceptual review, the empirical review, and then the theoretical review. What do you do in conceptual review? You explain and clarify key concepts related to your topic. Now, this is the grammar of your research. You define the ideas so that anyone reading your work will understand what exactly you are talking about. So what do? You define the main concepts. You explain how different scholars define them. You show the similarities and the differences in their definitions. Then you identify the definition that your study adopts and why. For instance, let's use the topic, the effects of social media use on academic engagement. What do you discuss in your conceptual review? You discuss social media, you discuss academic engagement, you discuss online behavior, you define student learning, you define digital distraction. Now, each concept has multiple definitions. Your job is to review them. Don't just list them. You compare the definitions and tell us which of the definitions your study adopts. Now, to the second one, theoretical review. That is the review of related theories or the models that your study is built on. What do you do here? You present the major theories related to your topic. You show what each theory proposes. You compare different theories. You explain the strengths and the weaknesses of each. Then you show the theory that your study adopts and why. Now, let's use that same topic as the example. The effects of social media use on student academic engagement. What are the theories that you may review? Social learning theory, uses and gratifications theory, cognitive load theory. Your job is to show the theory that supports your study and how it explains your variables. What do I mean? You compare, you critique, and you choose your guiding theory. Let's go to the next one, empirical review. Now, this is quite different. This has to do with data. This is where you summarize the past studies that collected data related to your topic. What do you do here? You review previous research, you summarize their findings, you examine their methods, you note the agreements and disagreements, you identify the gaps in knowledge, you show what remains unanswered, you establish the need for your research. You cannot do empirical review without data. It has to be studies that collected data. There has to be statistics. These studies often include surveys, interviews, experiments, statistical results, or thematic findings. I'll give you an example using that same topic, the use of social media on student academic engagement. Here, you can review studies that investigate things like how social media use affects students' reading habits, the relationship between screen time and concentration, the impact of WhatsApp groups on academic participation. You compare the results, their methods, their limitations, and you show where your own study fits in. There are other reviews like methodological, systematical, narrative, or traditional, but these are the major three. Like I said, learn to organize your reviews by themes, not by authors. This is where many students go wrong, even the brilliant ones. Do not say something like, author A said this, author B said this. For instance, Johnson said social media improves collaboration among students, full stop. Adewumi found out that social media improves concentration among students, full stop. Osei reported that students who use WhatsApp for academic discussions perform better. Kagan argues that too much social media use results into lower motivation, full stop. Do you know what is wrong there? It is disconnected. You are only listing opinions. You are not analyzing ideas. Instead of that, what do? Using that same topic, your themes could be positive influence of social media on academic engagement. And under that, subtopic or under that theme, you could now bring different authors that said similar things. The second one might be negative influence. Distraction, addiction, or lack of concentration. The third one could be age, gender, and context differences. There you can talk about how the impact of social media use is not the same for all students depending on their age, on their gender. There you can say that younger students are more distracted while older or postgraduate students are concentrate more and they use social media strategically. Now look at that. And don't forget, always have gaps in your research where you state what has not been studied. Always remember, a first-class literature review is organized by themes and not by authors. A first-class literature review is not about who said it. It is about what was said and how the ideas connect. Now, that is analysis. That is review and not a summary, which is exactly what a literature review should look like. If you are specifically writing chapter 2, the ultimate literature review guide is for you. It takes you through the literature review step by step, from finding studies to organizing these studies to synthesizing them to writing a clear chapter 2. Because this is the launch week, everyone who purchases the ultimate literature review guide will receive the academic writing technique completely free. You'll find the link to the ultimate literature review guide in the description as well. If you gained value from this video, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, like, drop a comment. If you have difficulty in any part of your research, feel free to reach out to me on learnwithdrmojirayo@gmail.com. Research does not have to be overwhelming. You just need a guide. I currently work with a limited number of students every month, guiding them step by step to get it right. If you want to be one of the few students I work with, check the link in the description to reach me directly.